Hello to everyone. I had to wait until the end of the intro. I was told to sit for 19 seconds. And the other thing, I was told that you shouldn't shout out to the microphone you will hear. It's very exciting being here. I haven't been in a conference like this before. I'm not wearing headphones, so I can hear the buzz around here. But indeed, I am Margus Nõlvak. I'm married, father of 4. I am a friend, but today standing in front of you as a leader and manager. And why I'm mentioning this, both myself and you have different roles in life. Who of you are leaders? Just raise your hand. Who are people, managers of people? A lot of you. We are all managers because we manage our own lives. If we don't manage ourselves, then we're managed by others. But indeed, we have different roles, different role expectations, and different responsibilities. Today, I would like to speak about management and leadership. Why I always like to talk about my different roles in life. We all have 4 or 5 major roles in our lives because they are very different. We have different expectations, responsibility, and impact. And very often, I noticed that this is not realized. And the more we grow as leaders, the more we have the responsibility to understand this. I cannot just be Margus. I cannot be in the role I am as my role as a father or husband. My role today is very different from my role at home. That doesn't mean that I'm acting or pretending here on the stage or lying to you. I understand my role as a leader being in front of you today, and this is what I will focus on. I've had a lot of colleagues throughout the years who remain who they are all the time, Peters, Georges, whatever, and I do not understand how they haven't comprehended that the role they are playing at that moment comes with expectations, and if those are not met, it creates a role conflict. I will give some examples where role differences play a big part. Right now, a retired general, Martin Herem, I was very taken aback when General Herem grew hair after retiring. But imagine him speaking at the Freedom Square during our Independence Day celebrations with hair. Or imagine our Bishop Urmas Viilma coming to you one evening saying that we have gathered here today to discuss a very important question, but there's a very specific role expectation to him, and when he speaks as a bishop, he adheres to these expectations. And we need to talk about a role conflict where a banker publicly probably said what they meant as a private person without understanding his role when doing this, and the role his words are going to play when in public domain, and this created a role conflict. For some reason, people think that this is permissible. They have been a businessman for years, and there are some people for whom this is okay. But no, that's not the case. These people need to understand the impact their words have and the way they say have. You can talk however you like when in a sauna with your friends or within your own company, but publicly to speak without realizing your role is a problem, and I think this is very common in Estonia. It's very important for us to understand our true role and act accordingly. And the higher our position and more people we lead, the higher the expectations to a manager. But leadership, what does that consist of? Being a CEO at Tele2, what does that mean? People expect me to be very busy. I would like to, when I hear that, I would like to see you and talk to you, but you're too busy until a long time. And the other expectation is that you are a leader, you go out to play golf or sail and are not working on a daily basis. Both opinions are wrong. And regardless of your positions as managers, they do not apply. But what are the tasks of a leader? If my 8-year-old asks me what I do, if you have children, they might ask the same question. Daddy, what is it that you do every day? And what I tend to answer is, I have a lot of meetings. You probably too have a lot of meetings. There should be fewer. But what's the role of a manager? I very much like a leadership theory developed by Henry Mintzberg, an economist from Canada, that leaders have 3 roles on a daily basis. First of them is representation. I represent the interests of the owners. I represent the values that I have established myself. This is very important. I represent the company everywhere I go. I need to understand that I represented Tele2 today when speaking to you. And of course, I represent a leadership culture. If I talk to managers in my company, what are my expectations to managers in my company? The second pillar is communication. It's not just about management. A lot of information is received and relayed. There's information that you need to relay. There's information you are not allowed to relay. There's information you need to amplify. There's information that you need to withhold for some time. So the communication role is very important, but you need to take responsibility for what and when you communicate. And this is very important. And if you wish to influence your company, the leader has a very big responsibility in doing this. The third pillar is decision-making. And that might be the most important. We, as leaders, have the task of making decisions. And what's most important is that on a daily basis, we take decisions on the basis of decisions we have erroneously made previously. Nobody makes mistakes on purpose. The decisions we make are always right at that moment, regardless of what they're based on. But they are never intentionally erroneous. But later on, a lot of these decisions turn out to be erroneous. As a leader, you need to take a new decision to override the wrong decision when you have realized that you have made a mistake. Decision-making, the higher you are positioned in an organization, involves more responsibility when higher up in the hierarchy. We cannot expect, for example, mid-level managers to take responsibility for top management decisions. And this is how I explain to my daughter what I do. I represent, communicate, and take decisions. There are different sub-roles according to Mintzberg, but these are the three main functions of a manager or a leader. I do not know how many leaders we have spending their summers out there sailing and not working in the office, but if you sail, you put the bearing in a plotter and the boat will sail without you getting involved, but even being at the helm, intervening when the wind changes or circumstances change, as a leader, you take decisions. This is very important. Again, I have to go back to what happened yesterday. It's common to think that we cannot presume that our people offer good customer service if the organization is badly managed. If we talk about staff experience or anything else, but the best way to offer a good customer experience is to have it also inside the company, and this is the responsibility of the CEO. But we cannot make the organization responsible for bad work if the leader or manager is doing bad work. And in my role, I see myself as the provider of management service. And why there are several arrows here? Because I offer management services to the owner. The owner has employed me. They expect me to meet the owner's expectations, for example, regarding turnover, profit, or market share. But can I explain this to my people in the same way? Profit, turnover, market share, let's get to work. No, this is not possible. I have to offer quality leadership to my staff, and the roles are a bit different. On the one hand, you are a manager providing management services to the owners and also to the staff members. So you have a common goal. If you fail in one of the two roles, the owner is always right to decide that the manager is not good enough. They will fire you. So they are right if they say that you're not good enough, the company is not developing in the right way. But if the roles are not clear and the expectations of personnel are not met, I'm offering a bad management service to my people, and this is what I have to keep in mind. So I have to take responsibility for results of the company. I am responsible for this. You cannot blame mid-level management, customer service personnel, or anyone else. So I am the biggest service provider in my company, and I have to meet these expectations. Coming back to yesterday's news, I see this conflict. There are no stronger or less strong staff members. The responsibility lies with management, and you need to act. The manager, the owners, they have to act. My favorite topic is change management. When I was at university, I had this course, change management, who has had the same course when studying. And I'm thinking why I crossed it out, because management is all about change management. When I explained about decision-making, then your decision has to bring about change. Otherwise, there's no need to take decisions. You can put the autopilot on and cruise in the Greek islands. But any decision you take brings about change. So what is change management taken in isolation? This doesn't exist. Management equals change management, and it's the responsibility of a manager to realize when they have to take the decision and when do they have to take a decision amending a previous decision. We can never start from scratch. There's always a sequence, a timeline of different decisions. So I do not see anything as change management, but just management. And we of course want to bring about positive changes. Sometimes negative changes may also happen, but then we have to turn them over to positive changes. So management, in essence, is bringing about change. Can we talk about business or entrepreneurship where there is no need for changes? So changes, bringing about changes is management. In my work in different companies I have worked at, I have realized that the management needs to evaluate competences in the team, and this role intensifies if a company wishes to reach their objectives. Then in one point in time the need for specific competences is much bigger than previously thought, especially more than I thought as a young leader. When I started working at my present company, I had to create some conditions for development, and I think I recruited exactly the right people to achieve this. They were good at building a new team, managing processes, and the like. But then, along the line, I felt I needed different competences, and it's a very short time frame where this need for different competences may occur. I have come across opinions that when the team has been assembled, everything is set to go. This moment never arrives. The manager needs to constantly reevaluate the need for competences. Are we talking about professional competences, leadership, crisis management competences, peacetime competences, bringing about significant changes? These are very different competences. There is no universal person who would be good at all these aspects. I need to find these competences from different team members. This also applies to sports. I have played sports for a long time, and if a team wins in a series, then why does the coach change the team for the next season? Because they understand that in autumn, when starting the new season, the same results will not be achieved with the same team. So positions are changed according to the competences the coach sees necessary or lacking and should be strengthened in the future. And in business, I've seen more and more that this is the key to success, that you need to evaluate the competences almost on a daily basis, because this gives you a competitive advantage. And to get to the end, I would like to talk about belief. If a manager doesn't believe in the vision or the goals, they may do their job, but without much result. I have worked under vision of owners, but without the manager believing in this vision, nothing good will come of it. But if the manager believes the task is challenging, but the manager works to achieve it day in, day out, then the belief makes a big difference. Yesterday I saw Vaiko Vaher, now working at the Police and Border Guard Board in the southern region, and he said that it's important to be there for your team during challenging times, and this is crucial to overcoming obstacles. So belief is very important. My experience demonstrates this. If you do not have this belief, you should move on. You can do a lot of damage to the organization if you do not have this belief. And this forms a part of this responsibility of a manager. So this was my story as a manager and leader about raising children and keeping your relationships good. We will talk on a different occasion.
Many thanks, Margus. And before I let you go off the stage, let me know, do you want... How difficult questions do you expect? Difficult ones. Okay, through WhatsApp we've received several comments and questions, and it seems to me that more and more are coming in. So one of them was a statement, I would say. So it says that I would argue taking a decision means that I kick the ball rolling, and the change management means that you try to control the ball. Perhaps it takes a bit of time to understand what their point was, but no, yes, of course, in change management, of course, you take decisions constantly 100 times. Several processes are started. As you start making changes, they happen as you decide. It's not that you decide and then the change simply happens. No, there are hundreds of decisions taken along the way, because it concerns the entire organization and also the customers. Customers also have to take decisions, whether they come along with you or not. But at the end of the day, it's a decision on every level. Okay, thanks. How do you take responsibility for your mistakes in the view of the organization, the owners? I think, well, as you've been a CEO for 3 years, you haven't made many mistakes in the view of the owners. No, of course I have, but you have to be honest. And I have been honest about my mistakes as well. So we have had serious conversations, heart to heart, and perhaps also on the board, I'm a bit too honest. The head of the Baltic manager has told me that try to be less honest, because the owner perhaps doesn't always want to know the bad stuff. They want to hear positive news. But of course, you have to be honest. We do make mistakes all the time, because if we didn't, then we wouldn't take any decisions. Okay, we have 4 more minutes, 4.5. So you mentioned the communication catastrophe involving a financial organization. What would be your advice? Well, you shouldn't take these things to the media. This is something that you solve within the organization. How you do it, it's a matter of organizational culture. I'm not telling anyone how they should work, but you just have to consider what to say, where to say, and how to do it. And that's all from me about this topic. Okay, if the leadership starts from the leader themselves, then what has been your biggest lesson over the past few years? Well, I'm a very trusting leader. If I have a team, I really trust them. I don't check them. Perhaps even I should ask them to report more. But what I realize that might be my weak point is that at different managerial levels, the responsibility is also different. And at one point, as a CEO, you have to step in to interfere in a good way, because perhaps the decision reaches my level already. The responsibility reaches my level. And I believe many of you have experienced it. We presume too much. We presume that everything is in order, everything is happening. But actually, sometimes you have to step in and to work together with another manager in your organization because the responsibility is too high for them already. I mean, I trust you, you could take the decision, but not quite. Every now and then, I sense that I need to take a step down and help the manager carry the risk. But we need the risk. If we want to win, we need to take a risk. I'm not saying that the risk appetite is important there, but it's just that at different managerial levels, the responsibility and the risk appetite is different. So certain managers in the organizations cannot take the decisions that I can. And this has been a lesson for me. Perhaps I felt that I should interfere, but I didn't, and later I might regret a little bit. So I could help with the decision-taking. Perhaps I ease the responsibility of the person when I help to take the decision, but I don't want to take the responsibility away, of course, not at all. Okay, now about decision-taking. If the leader understands that the decision was wrong, they need to take a new decision. How to communicate that? It's about communication again. Well, first and foremost, you have to communicate why the previously taken decision was wrong. This is the key. And if you take a new decision, you also have to explain based on what. Has this been decided? Do you have data? Do you have information? Do you have a gut feeling? Why do you take the new decision? And why do you think that this is a better decision now? And at certain points, you as a leader, you have to make the team believe that the decision that we are taking now is the right one, even if it's the 10th in a row. So I have to believe in the decisions that I take. Okay, thanks. I personally have a question as well. As you implement the changes, you also have to grow and develop constantly. You have to be the driver in this. So you have to be ready to kind of kick back. How do you not burn out? I understand that you are very fit, but... Well, I have very clearly defined my roles. When I go home at night, I don't talk about work. I don't talk about work to my friends. In the morning when I wake up, I open my calendar to see what the day will bring, not previous evening, but in the morning. So these kinds of routines are quite protective. And I also have a 30-minute drive to work and back home, and it's very good. You know, I used to live in the center of Tallinn, and if it only takes you 5 minutes to get home, then you cannot really switch off. So I have drawn very clear lines between these different roles that I have. At home, I'm a father, a husband, a friend. I don't think about work. And actually, my wife has told me that it's impossible to talk to me when I'm in the office. And it's probably true. I'm in the role. I'm in the work zone. So there's like a button that I push when I get home. I'm at home. When I'm at work, I'm at work. And perhaps it's a reason, one of the reasons why I've been very careful about becoming an entrepreneur, because this is where you contribute 24/7. Of course, as a member of the board, I'm also responsible 24/7. But actually, well, of course, if there's a crisis, I'm there also Saturday evening. We have a certain procedure. But normally, in a usual situation, I really have to keep track of the different roles, because if you mix these up, and actually I like going to the office. I don't want to work from home, because home is kind of sacred to me. And changing the environment is something that I feel that spares me as well. But people are different. I agree. People are different. I also go to the office. Even if we have the days of working from home, then I'm still in the office. But many thanks, Margus, and a round of applause.